Head tan, cold iron collar, under the mud we crawl. Heavy, the clock stopped ticking now. Silence, buried deep under the frost.
In the year 33 AD, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ became the most depicted event in human history. But for centuries we have been looking at a medical impossibility. Renaissance paintings and golden cathedrals show a silent, graceful sacrifice. Yet, when a master surgeon began to analyze the anatomy of the cross, he discovered a reality so brutal it was almost beyond human comprehension. He realized that a body nailed through the palms would tear free in seconds. The true location of the nails reveals a hidden torture that literally rewired the human nervous system. As the world prepared to mourn, science was about to uncover why the traditional images of Christ are anatomically impossible, and what truly happened in those final 3 hours of silence. The secret lies in a tiny space within the wrist, a detail that changed everything we thought we knew about the ultimate sacrifice. But the most shocking revelation wasn't the pain. It was how, according to medical science, a man in that condition was still physically able to speak. By analyzing cadavers in his laboratory, Dr. Barbet realized that the point of attachment for the nails needed to be far more resilient than the center of the palm. He identified a small bone channel, known today as Destot space, located precisely within the firm and compact structure of the wrist. When the iron spike pierced this region, it didn't just support the weight securely, it violently crushed the median nerve, the largest sensory nerve in the human arm. This triggered an excruciating pain, comparable to constant electric shocks that paralyzed the fingers into a permanent and painful claw-like position. But the physical collapse did not begin on the wooden beam itself. It started hours earlier, under the heavy silence of the olive trees in Gethsemane. Modern medicine classifies the phenomenon of sweating blood as hematidrosis, a rare condition triggered by devastating psychological stress. In this state, the capillaries under the skin rupture and blood mixes with sweat, making the dermis extremely sensitive and fragile for the scourging that was about to follow. It was the silent beginning of a severe dehydration process that would compromise every heartbeat and every movement from that moment forward. The Roman whip, the dreaded flagrum, was not a common tool of punishment. It was an instrument designed to deep shred muscle tissue in a systematic way. Small lead spheres and bone fragments at the tips of the leather straps removed entire layers of skin, exposing the back muscles and compromising the victim's circulation. Studies suggest that by the time the site of execution was reached, the body was already in a state of thermal exhaustion and massive loss of vital fluids. Each step toward Calvary was a desperate struggle against fainting, maintained only by a massive surge of adrenaline that forced the body to keep moving. Historians and doctors agree that the cross was not designed for a quick death, but to prolong agony through a calculated and cruel biological mathematics. The position imposed on the body forced an impossible choice between the absolute pain of shattered nerves and the total inability to expel air from the lungs. This cycle of torture meant that every single breath had to be earned by a movement of pure agony, and the body was reaching its absolute breaking point. The true torture of the crucifixion was not found only in the visible wounds, but in the desperate, rhythmic struggle for a single breath of oxygen. With the arms stretched and the chest forced upward, the intercostal muscles became paralyzed. This prevented the lungs from exhaling air naturally. To exhale and avoid immediate suffocation, the condemned had to push themselves up. They were forced to support their entire weight on the nails driven through their feet. This repetitive movement created a cycle of endless agony. Every small breath came at the price of lancinating pain in the small bones of the tarsus. Medicine explains that this continuous effort led to a severe buildup of lactic acid in the blood. This triggered violent cramps that locked the body in spasms of pure suffering. While the lungs were slowly failing, the heart was fighting its own battle against an invisible and relentless enemy deep within the chest. Extreme physical stress and thoracic trauma triggered what modern medicine calls pericardial effusion. This is the buildup of fluid around the heart muscle. This fluid compressed the heart, making every beat weaker and more irregular. Circulation began to collapse definitively throughout the entire organism. It is at this critical point that the biblical description of the blood and water flowing from the side of Jesus gains a startling and precise technical explanation. The spear thrust by the Roman soldier was not an act of random cruelty. It was a standard military procedure used to confirm death at the execution site. As the iron blade passed between the ribs, it pierced the pericardial sac in the right ventricle. It released both the accumulated clear fluid and the stagnant blood. What appeared to the witnesses of the time as a purely mystical sign, is for modern anatomy the final proof of death. A death caused by hypovolemic shock and acute heart failure. Science suggests that the endurance demonstrated until that final moment defies common biological laws of survival under such massive trauma. Every detail revealed by historical autopsies shows that the body of Jesus endured levels of pain that would have silenced an ordinary man long before reaching the summit. And as silence fell over Calvary, the mysteries left on that wooden cross began to transform medicine into a silent witness of history. The Shroud of Turin, perhaps the most studied object in human history, offers an anatomical map disturbingly faithful to these modern medical discoveries. The bloodstains preserved on the ancient fabric reveal a flow pattern that perfectly respects the laws of gravity for a man suspended on a cross. Experts note that the whip marks on the linen show over 120 deep wounds. This suggests the presence of two torturers positioned at different angles, working with systematic brutality. But the detail that most intrigues scientists is the absolute absence of signs of decomposition on the cloth. This indicates the body remained wrapped for an extremely short window of time. At the moment biology stopped, a new series of inexplicable events began to challenge the logic of the very soldiers guarding the site. The Roman centurion, a man hardened by hundreds of brutal executions, recorded an atmosphere at Calvary that no natural phenomenon could fully explain. For medicine, the death of Jesus remains the definitive study on the limits of human endurance. It is the ultimate example of biological collapse under extreme trauma. What began as a common execution on the outskirts of the Roman Empire became the most debated clinical case in the history of humanity. It is fascinating how accounts written 2,000 years ago accurately described medical symptoms that science would only categorize millennia later. Medicine does not seek to prove dogmas. Yet, by analyzing every torn nerve and every drop of pericardial fluid, it confirms a reality of absolute suffering. Today, when observing the image of the crucifixion, science does not see just a symbol. It sees the record of an event that tested the very boundaries of anatomy and pain. The mystery of Calvary does not end with the cessation of vital functions. It continues in the questions that physics and biology still cannot answer. If biology coldly details the final breath, it plunges into absolute silence regarding what occurred in the hours following inside that sealed tomb. High-tech image analysis suggests the mark left on the funerary linen was not caused by ordinary contact. It appears to be the result of a short, intense burst of energy. This phenomenon, which some physicists call surface radiation, etched a three-dimensional image into the fabric. Remarkably, the image contains no pigments and defies the laws of organic chemistry. It is the exact point where human logic retreats. The evidence suggests that the body stopped obeying the laws of gravity and decay at the moment history changed forever. Medicine fulfilled its role by documenting the brutal physical price of Calvary. But what remained after the burial remains a provocation to the most rigorous scientific rationalism. Do you believe that science will one day find the final answer? Or are there mysteries that were simply made to remain beyond our reach? If these deep truths and the hidden secrets of the past resonate with you, we invite you to join our community of history explorers. After all, the true search for truth begins exactly where conventional explanations simply cease to exist. The silence of the tomb remains the ultimate boundary where the scalpel and the microscope lose their authority. History meticulously records the collapse of the body, but the physics of what followed remains an open wound in the side of modern skepticism. The question is no longer just about how a man succumbed to the cross, but what kind of force could leave such a permanent, inexplicable signature on the fabric of reality. In the end, perhaps the greatest truths are not found in the answers we prove, but in the mysteries we are still brave enough to face. The silence that fell over Jerusalem on that Friday afternoon did not mark the end of the clinical record. It was merely the beginning of a challenge that still haunts the halls of modern physics today. While the anatomical precision of the wounds points to a documented execution, the absolute absence of natural decay suggests a violation of the very laws that govern our biological world. Scientists now find themselves at a peculiar crossroads, where the cold edge of the scalpel meets the warmth of the inexplicable, revealing patterns that simply should not exist in nature. We are left to contemplate if the radiant energy that scorched the funerary linen was a unique biological anomaly, or the signature of a force that transcends our current understanding of matter and time. The trial of Jesus did not end with a Roman verdict. It continues every time a modern researcher peers into the microscopic details of that ultimate, grueling sacrifice. Does this medical evidence bring you closer to a rational truth, or does it prove that some events are intentionally placed beyond the reach of human logic? We invite you to share your perspective in the comments. Do you believe science will eventually bridge this gap, or are some mysteries meant to remain sacred and untouchable? If these hidden layers of history resonate with your search for truth, we invite you to join us as we continue to peel back the veil of the ancient past. Because in a world obsessed with finding immediate answers, the most profound revelations often hide within the questions we are still brave enough to ask. The wooden beam has long since turned to dust, but the echo of those final 3 hours continues to vibrate through the foundations of everything we think we know about life and death.